She was sold like trash, but a human saw in her something nobody else did. Olympic National Forest, Washington State, USA. Year, 2137. The silence of the forest was broken only by the sound of wet leaves crunching under the man's steps. Liam Carter moved through the ancient trees, his rifle slung on his back, a flashlight strapped to his chest, and a holographic map projected on his left wrist. He was sweating despite the cold, not because he was afraid of the forest, but because of what it was now hiding. It had been 3 weeks since the unauthorized landing. A ship of unknown origin crashed in the middle of the reserve, and the agency Liam worked for, an unofficial government branch called Eclipse, was called in to contain, recover, and clean up any anomalies. That included wreckage, or living beings. Liam wasn't a soldier. He was a tactical extraction specialist with an emphasis on empathy, as the title said. Translation: they sent him to talk to things others wanted to kill. When he reached the crash site, the smell of ozone still hung in the air. Trees knocked down in a circle, the ground barren like ash. Molten metal fused with rocks. The ship hadn't survived. But she had. He saw her for the first time, sitting in a dark corner of the broken fuselage, wrapped in a thermal blanket from the ship itself, trembling. Her skin was blue, but not metallic or alien blue. A deep, almost ethereal blue, like light had trouble touching it. Her eyes were large, without pupils. Golden hair fell in waves over her shoulders. She was humanoid, but not human, and clearly scared. Liam lowered his rifle. "My name's Liam. I'm not going to hurt you." She responded with something guttural, but not aggressive. Her hands, thin and elongated, covered her face. Liam noticed the metal locked around her neck, a collar with built-in shackles. Containment technology. It wasn't hers. She was cargo. 3 days later, the truth was clear. The ship belonged to illegal interplanetary hunters. They sold living beings to arenas, labs, and collectors. She, whose name, according to the few signs they managed to exchange, was Alia, was one of them. A discard, as the reports called her. A low-viability test subject to be auctioned off for scraps. But the ship crashed first. Eclipse decided she wasn't worth the containment risk. The order was clear: neutralize. And that's when everything changed. Liam didn't sleep that night. Alia stayed still in her makeshift cell, refusing to eat, staring at the ceiling of the improvised base in the forest. When he approached, she curled up like a wounded animal. And yet, something about her didn't beg for help. She didn't ask for anything. But there was a quiet dignity about her that didn't match what the report said. Sold like trash. The phrase echoed in Liam's mind. But who looks at trash with those eyes? The next morning, he did something he never imagined doing. He disabled the surveillance protocols, turned off the trackers, deleted the footage. He took Alia in his arms. She was too weak to walk, and left the base with her wrapped in a thick coat. They went deep into the forest, to one of Eclipse's emergency shelters that few knew about. It was old, without communication, and for that reason, perfect. Liam cleaned one of the beds, connected a solar battery, and turned on the thermal field generator. Alia lay down, not saying a word. But when he stepped out to get water, something happened. He came back with the canteen and found her standing, hair falling over her shoulders, eyes still expressionless, but alive. She pointed at his chest. "What?" It was the first word she spoke in his language. A question. No screams. No anger. Just genuine curiosity. Liam was silent for a while. Because no one should be thrown away. Not even you. She blinked slowly, then nodded, and lay back down. That night, the shelter was filled with the sounds of the forest. Night birds screaming, twigs snapping, distant rumbles of storms passing over the mountains. Liam sat at the door, rifle in hand, listening to every sound like it was a warning. He knew Eclipse wouldn't let this go easy. But when he looked back and saw Alia sleeping, wrapped in the blanket, for the first time without those wide, fearful eyes, he understood he was doomed, and he accepted it. Olympic National Forest, third night after the escape. The shelter's power was dropping. The generator was starting to fail, and the air inside the concrete cabin no longer held much heat. Alia didn't seem bothered, but Liam felt his muscles stiffen and his beard damp with condensation. He thought about one thing, time. How long before Eclipse noticed he was no longer at the checkpoint? How long until they found out he erased everything? And what scared him most? How long until they found a trail? Ilya was walking now, still with slow steps, but steady. She watched everything with obsessive attention. The moss on the rocks, the veins of the trees, the cawing of the crows. Sometimes she'd crouch down and press her face against wet leaves. Liam tried not to get in her way. He just followed her, like she was the one who knew the land. "Do you remember the planet where you were born?" he asked once. She took a few seconds to answer. "No, but I remember the smell." "What kind of smell?" "Moisture and electricity, like the moment before a storm." Liam smiled, surprised by how clear the answer was. "Sounds like here." She turned her face to him. The evening light filtered through the trees and touched her hair, making it almost white. "Maybe that's why I'm still alive." At night, inside the shelter, she'd sit across from him and watch while he cleaned his weapons. Not with fear, but with fascination. An uneasy fascination. "Why do you carry that?" she asked. "Protection. From me." Liam paused. "No, never from you. But you're afraid." He stared into those glassy, pupilless eyes. He couldn't lie. "Yes, but not of you." "Then of what?" He hesitated. "Of what they'll do to you. Of what they'll do to me. And how long I can hide us both." The next morning, he woke up alone. Fear rose like poison. He ran out of the shelter, shouting her name, a sound still strange in his mouth. For minutes, there was only wind and silence. Until he saw her. Ilya stood in the middle of a clearing, arms open wide. The sky was overcast, but a rare beam of light broke through the clouds and lit the center of the space. She seemed to be absorbing it. When Liam got closer, she spoke without looking at him. "This place is older than your species." He frowned. "I feel it." She touched the ground. "Your forests hold echoes. You're saying you can hear things from here?" "Not here. Feel." "Ow." She took a deep breath. "In my species, we learn from the field. Memories stay in the molecules. You call it mysticism. We call it forgotten science." Liam was silent for a while. Then he murmured, "You're incredible." She slowly turned around. Her eyes met his with a cold intensity, almost like a machine's. "And you're Liam's eyes went wide. "What? You risked your life for something you don't understand." Her voice was different now. Sharp. "I could be a weapon. A virus. A flaw. How do you know I'm not?" Liam looked at the ground, then slowly raised his eyes. "Because you hesitated before asking." Ilya stayed silent, then started walking again. That night, tension grew. She began pacing circles inside the shelter, not in panic, but with growing restlessness, whispering words in her own language, whispers that sounded like codes. Liam didn't understand, but felt something was off. He tried to touch her shoulder. She snapped around and shoved him against the wall. It was just 2 seconds, but enough for his survival instinct to kick in. His hand went to his holster. She stepped back immediately. Her eyes glowed with guilt. "No, I didn't mean to do that." Liam composed himself, breathing deeply. "It's okay." She curled up in a corner. "I felt a presence. They're coming." Liam froze. "How do you know?" She looked out the small window. "Because this forest stopped breathing." Liam knew what that meant. Eclipse had activated the gravitational tracking drones. When the forest sound stopped, it meant machines were operating somewhere in the sky, draining kinetic energy from the environment to triangulate signals. They were close. "We have to go." "To where?" Liam quickly typed on the old console. A 3D map appeared on the wall. The forest, the shelters, and a small line of underground tunnels used for decommissioned military research. "There's a camouflaged entrance 2 kilometers from here. We can use it. Do you trust that?" she asked. Liam looked at her. "I trust you more than them." And then they began preparing to escape. He disassembled the generator, erased thermal signatures, burned papers, wiped fingerprints. Ilya watched silently. At the end, she came close and said, "When they find you, they'll call you a traitor." Liam nodded. "They already do. For my sake." He turned to her, more serious than ever. "No, for my choice." And with that, they disappeared into the darkness of the forest. The trail was invisible to human eyes. A slight dip in the ground, a crack between ancient roots, hid a titanium hatch stained by time. Almost no one remembered the underground Alpha 4 base. Not even Eclipse's digital records. But Liam did. It was where he trained for the kind of mission he was now betraying. Elia watched the entrance with narrowed eyes. This forest has hidden wounds. You dig too deep. We destroy what we don't understand, Liam said, opening the manual panel. So you barely understand anything. The corridor was swallowed by darkness. The smell of mold and rust. The backup generator still responded to old commands. Liam injected a portable power capsule into the terminal, and the light came back, pale, flickering. They descended 3 levels until they found an abandoned communication room. There, he activated the signal camouflage protocols and thermal shielding. It was a perfect hideout for now. Elia leaned against the wall, panting. The air here feels heavier. It's breathable, but it carries the memory of death. Liam knew what she meant. The base had been shut down after a failed experiment with alien technology. 10 people died. No one talked about it publicly. He opened the emergency kit. There's rations, medicine, thermal clothes. I don't need that, but you need to eat. You're weak. She approached him calmly, barely making a sound. Do you think I'm fragile? No, I think you're hurt. You treat me like something broken, like I can be fixed. Liam said nothing. That's not love. It's guilt. The silence hit like a heavy blow. He looked away. What if it's both? She didn't answer, just stepped away. Hours later, while she slept wrapped in a blanket, Liam tried to rest. But something in the corridor's shadows bothered him. A very low sound, almost a vibration. He got up, grabbed his rifle, and went to check. He passed through narrow tunnels until he saw the source of the noise. An Eclipse drone, a beta probe type, standing still blinking. It was inactive, like it had been taken down. But what was strange was what lay beside it. A mark on the ground, like something had been dragged or had emerged. Liam crouched and touched the mark. It was fresh, and it wasn't from Eclipse. When he ran back to the main room, Elia was already standing. Her eyes glowed with alarm. They're not the only ones looking for us. What are you feeling? Something that came before. Something my species fears. Liam was silent, then whispered, Is this a warning? It's living memory. The same field that feeds me is now trying to push me away. She placed her hand on the wall. This base was built over something that should have stayed asleep. Liam remembered Eclipse's secret reports. Fragments of an artifact found more than 200 meters below. It was never identified, only isolated and forgotten. You think it's waking up? She didn't answer. Then the ceiling shook. The explosion was muffled, but enough to bring down part of the structure. The collapse alarm blared. Red lights flooded the corridor. Dust, screams of twisted metal, and amidst the vibration, the sound of footsteps. They're here, Liam said, already readying his rifle. Not just them. She touched her head, like something was pressing inside. Elia, you're bleeding. Thin, blue drops trickled from her ears. She dropped to her knees. They're trying to call me. Connect like I'm part of it. Liam knelt beside her. You don't have to answer. But if I don't, they'll find me. He grabbed a syringe from the containment kit. It wasn't meant for her. It was a neural capsule designed to shut down psychic signals in sensitive species. It had never been tested, but now it was the only chance. If I give you this, you might lose consciousness. You might forget who you are for a while. She looked at him, hands trembling. I'd rather forget than belong to them again. Liam nodded. He administered it. She fell into his arms. As the ceiling trembled again and the sound of Eclipse boots echoed through the corridors, Liam held Elia. She didn't move anymore, but she was alive. He held his breath and hid behind one of the disabled hangar doors on the lower level. When the soldiers rushed past, they didn't see him, but they saw the destroyed drone, and they started searching deeper. Liam knew what that meant. There was no turning back. Now, not even the forest would protect them. The conflict was no longer about hiding. It was about resisting, and he would do it with whatever he had, even if it cost him everything that was still human. Darkness had taken over the base after the second collapse. Liam carried Elia through the narrow corridors, rifle strapped to his back, sweat mixed with the soot of broken concrete. She was still unconscious, but alive. Her heartbeat was irregular. The neural blocker was having a stronger effect than expected. The voices of Eclipse soldiers echoed over their radios. They were using thermal scanners now, and biocybernetic dogs. If they stayed there, It would be only minutes until they were found. He reached the last emergency door on the lower level. Behind it, a maintenance tunnel leading straight to the natural caves of the granite base. Nearly impassable, but it was either that or die there. Liam swiped the access card. Nothing. Tried the code. Failed. Tension rose like a silent scream in his throat. They were trapped. Suddenly, Ilya moved. Her eyes opened with difficulty. The blue glow was dull. We're inside the living stone. You're back, Liam whispered. Try not to talk too much. Your body's unstable. She closed her eyes but reached out, pressing her hand against the metal door. She whispered something. Not in English, not a code, in her language. The wall trembled, not like a quake, but like it had heard. And then, the door opened. Liam said nothing. He just lifted her into his arms and stepped into the dark tunnel, leaving behind the shouts and echoes of soldiers who had come too late. The caves weren't on any maps. His flashlight flickered, and the air was heavier, like every meter drained vital energy. The walls pulsed with a soft bioluminescent blue, the same color as Ilya's skin. This place was made to resemble my world, she said weakly, but it was violated by your kind. Liam walked in silence, listening. What was kept here, Ilya? A seed, a fragment of ancient memory, left to observe. But human curiosity woke it, and now it wants a return. Return to where? She looked at him with sadness. To everything. Inside me. The ground trembled. Again. The wall ahead cracked with a sharp noise. It wasn't a structural collapse. It was intentional. From it emerged a figure. Not solid. Not alive by human standards. It was made of bluish mist, pulsing with the same rhythm as Ilya's skin. Its face was a distorted version of hers, like a broken copy. Don't look, she told Liam. What is that? The shadow of what I was designed to become. The mold. The figure moved closer. It didn't walk, it glided. Then it spoke, with Ilya's voice, but layered, distorted. You broke the bond. You chose the weak. Ilya stood, barely steady. I chose freedom. Then you will pay the price. The creature surged forward at terrifying speed. Liam raised his rifle, but Ilya held up a hand. No, only I can stop her. She stepped forward. The floor cracked beneath her feet. Her golden hair floated like it was underwater. If I accept her, she takes me. If I reject her, she destroys this place, and you with it. Liam grabbed her arm. I won't let that happen. You can't stop it, but you can give me a chance. She touched her forehead to his. I just needed one human to understand I was more than what they made me. Then she turned and walked into the creature. The glow intensified. A silent roar rippled through the tunnel like an explosion of memory. Liam was thrown against the wall. Images, flashes invaded his mind. Wars on distant planets. Genetic experiments. Ilya and containment tanks. Tested, replicated, erased. Copies. Failures. Resurrections. And then, silence. The mist dissolved. Ilya lay on the ground, unconscious. But the shadow was gone. Liam rushed to her. Stay with me. Please, stay with me. She opened her eyes. Slowly. I'm here. And for the first time, she smiled. As the two fled through the caves, now collapsing behind them, Liam knew nothing would ever be the same. Not for him. Not for her. The fight ahead would still be brutal. But in that moment, as they ran together, he understood. The most impossible kind of love is the one that survives being lost and still chooses to come back. If you've ever rooted for an impossible love, hit that subscribe button. There's plenty more where that came from. And tell us in the comments. Would you give up everything to protect someone the world had already thrown away? The tunnel where they fell was silent now. Liam woke with the metallic taste of blood in his mouth, his forehead pressed to the cold floor. The collapse had stopped, but he didn't know how long it had been since everything had exploded into light and sound. He tried to move. His ribs ached, but he was breathing. He looked around and saw her. Ilya, sitting with her back to him, surrounded by glowing fragments of the mist that had almost consumed her. Her blonde hair was tangled, her blue skin lighter now, like the color was fading. He dragged himself toward her. Ilya. She turned slowly. Her eyes were different, still blue, but now with pupils. You're alive. Thanks to you. Maybe. Or maybe because that thing didn't need me anymore. What happened? She looked at her own hands. I absorbed the mold, but to do that, I had to break everything I was made to be. Is that a bad thing? It's new. She looked at him with something real. Human. I feel fear now. Before, I only obeyed. Liam moved closer. Fear can mean you're really alive. She nodded slowly. And you? What do you feel? Liam was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. I feel like the world still wants to erase you. I feel like no matter how far I run, they'll find us. But I also feel like, for the first time, I'm not running alone. The forest reappeared at the end of the tunnel. Morning light filtered through the trees and warmed their skin like a memory of something good. Liam helped Alia walk. Her steps were steadier now, even in her fragile body. Do you think this will last? She asked. What? Us? This running. Liam looked up at the leaves above. I don't know, but I know that while it lasts, it'll be real. And that's more than I ever expected to find in this broken world. 3 kilometers later, they reached a hidden lake, a secret clearing Liam had known since childhood. It was where he used to hide from the world when everything felt like it was falling apart. Now, it was where he brought someone who made him question everything he thought he knew. Ilya knelt to the water's edge. She touched the surface. The reflection still scares me. Why? Because I don't know who's looking back. Liam sat beside her. Maybe someone's still figuring out what it means to be free. Freedom hurts. Always. She looked at him. Were you worth that pain? Liam took a deep breath. I want to be. Even if the world says you're worthless. I choose to see you. She smiled. A defenseless smile. Then she said, I need a rest. Something inside me is still rearranging. It's safe here. For now. During the day, Ilya slept. Liam stayed alert, watching the skies, listening to the lake's ripples, the wind through the leaves. Every sound could be a signal. He knew that after what happened at the base, Eclipse wasn't just tracking them anymore. They were hunting, and it wasn't just for her. Now it was for him too. By late afternoon, he heard a metallic hum in the distance. Too loud to be an insect, too rhythmic to be wind. Drones. They were coming back. He ran to Alia. She opened her eyes, still tired. They found us. Not yet, but they will. She nodded. Then it's time to stop running. Liam stared at her, confused. What? I've survived too long being taken, hidden, sold. Maybe it's time to be seen. That's suicide. Or maybe it's the only way to show them what I really am. Liam took her hand. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. I know, but maybe I need to prove it to myself. In the silence before dusk, the two stood side by side at the lake's edge. The drones humming in the distance, growing closer. And in the middle of a world about to collapse again, Liam understood. Ilya wasn't just an alien trying to find her place. She was a mirror of the humanity he was relearning to feel. The forest nights felt different now, less threatening. There was silence, but not the silence of fear. It was the silence of presence, as if the world itself was waiting to see what would come next. Liam sat near the small fire, watching Ilya standing in the cold lake water. The firelight danced across her blue skin, now lighter, more natural, as if she was slowly being reborn. She turned to him. Why does your species fear what's different? Liam thought for a moment. Because we grow up afraid of losing control, and everything we don't understand feels like a threat. And you don't see me that way. I did. She frowned slightly, but then I realized it wasn't you. It was the fear inside me. She looked back at the water's reflection. I was afraid of you too. Why? Because you were the first who didn't try to use me or erase me. That scared me more than containment ever did. She stepped out of the water and came closer to the fire, sat beside him, closer than before, like the space between them had finally disappeared. Liam, my species was designed to adapt. We were shaped to survive. But I never knew what it meant to belong. He reached out slowly, touched her fingers, cold but alive. Maybe belonging isn't something you find. Maybe it's something you choose to build. She looked down at their hands, joined. This still feels strange to me. Me too. She smiled. Then maybe we're learning together. The next day, Ilya began to speak more. Fragmented memories of a planet of green mist, of beings without mouths who taught through gestures, of sleep chambers where she woke and slept over and over again, never knowing if she was the same self as before. Liam listened like someone hearing a beautiful, unfamiliar song. And for the first time, he didn't feel like the only one with invisible scars. That night, She lay beside him. No words, just breathing the same air. On the morning of the 7th day, Alia woke him. Look at this. She pointed to the sky. A circle of clouds was opening, and within it, a strange light. It wasn't eclipse. It wasn't natural. It pulsed, like something was trying to communicate. She looked at Liam. I can call for help. My true species. I can try. I don't know if it'll work, but I can try. Liam was quiet for a long moment. If they come, will you go with them? I don't know. Maybe. He nodded. You don't owe me anything. It's not about owing. Then what's it about? About knowing if I still want to be part of them. She looked at him, pain sweet in her eyes. Because if I go, maybe I'll never see you again. Liam took a deep breath, then said, I'm nothing compared to the universe. But if the universe comes back for you, I just hope you look back. She held his hand. I already belong somewhere, Liam. I just don't know where yet. They spent a day together, in silence, in words, in exchanges that needed no translation. Liam taught Alia how to spark fire with flint. She taught him how to hear patterns in bird calls. He shared ancient songs from his world. She sang melodies that didn't come from her mouth, but from the air itself. They were different, and yet they had created something neither of them could name. But they both knew it was real. That night, when the strange light returned to the sky, Alia stood in the center of the clearing. I'm going to try to reach them. Liam nodded. I'll be here. She stepped into the grass, stretched out her arms, closed her eyes. A sound came from her. Not a scream, not a word, a frequency, as if the universe were being called through a forgotten vibration. The sky responded. The clouds opened completely. A stronger light poured down over her. And then, silence. Alia fell to her knees. Liam ran to her. Are you okay? She opened her eyes. They heard me. And she took a breath. They said I can go. But I'm no longer part of the network. Is that bad? It's complete freedom. They won't take me. They won't hunt me. They'll just let me go. Liam cupped her face. Then now you get to choose. She looked at him. I do. And I choose to stay. And in that moment, without warning, she kissed him. Not with urgency, not with fear, but with the certainty of someone who finally knew where they belonged. The warmth of the kiss still lingered between them when the silence broke, low and deep, like a creature buried beneath the earth waking to life. Alia stood first. No, that's not them. Liam grabbed the rifle. What is it? She pointed to the sky. Eclipse didn't answer the signal, but something else did. Then the sky tore open. It wasn't a ship. It was a rift, a crack in space above the forest. And from it, something emerged, not moved by propulsion, but by intention. A dark monolith, symbols glowing red across its surface, descended slowly, ignoring gravity, ignoring logic. Liam stepped back. What is that? Alia had gone pale, her skin drained to blue again. A wrong answer. An entity that hunts ancient signals like mine. She turned to him, wide-eyed. They didn't come to take me. They came to erase me. The monolith opened. From inside, faceless humanoid figures of crimson light emerged. No voices, no features, only movement directly into the clearing. Liam fired. The bullets passed right through them. They have no mass. Alia shouted. They don't need mass. They erase essence. They're programmed to undo anomalies. You're not an anomaly. To them, I am. To them, we are. The entities surrounded the clearing. A distortion field activated, trapping them inside. The firelight vanished. The air thickened. The world fell silent. One of them approached Alia. Liam ran, throwing himself into the figure. It was like diving into void. His body passed through it, but something tore from him. He fell, screaming. His hands trembled. One of his eyes began to bleed. Alia rushed to him. They're erasing your timeline. You won't die in the body. You will vanish from time itself. Liam tried to rise. Then kill me now. But don't let them erase what we are. Alia closed her eyes. And for the second time, she called out. But now, it wasn't a cry for rescue. It was a call to defend. The earth opened beneath the clearing. Roots burst upward like living serpents. The trees moved. The planet answered her. The monolith's symbols began to flicker. Confused, she walked forward. You taught me what it means to belong. Now I'll teach them what it means to resist. She raised her arms. Her hair floated, as if time itself had halted. Her skin shone again, not like before, but like something reborn. Liam tried to rise. No, you don't have to do this alone. She turned to him. I'm not alone. You're with me. She extended her hands. Liam, still wounded, stood. He took her hand. The pain vanished. Together, they stepped forward. Elia shouted in her true tongue. Not with sound, but with pulses. The forest exploded in light. The creatures were erased by the very force that once sought to erase them. But the cost came quickly. Elia's body began to glow from within. Her system was collapsing. She fell. Liam caught her in his arms. No, Elia, stay with me. She touched his face. I resisted what created me. But now, what keeps me alive is breaking. No, we'll fix it. You're going to survive. Maybe, but not like this. She was transforming. Her features dissolving. Her original design unraveling. It was as if she were rewriting her own code, choosing a form the planet would accept as its own. The light faded. The sky closed. And in Liam's arms was someone new. The skin still blue, but now soft and earthen, like living ceramic. Her eyes no longer alien, but human and alive. She looked at him. I'm here, but different. Are you still you? I'm the part of me that chose to stay. The rest is gone. Liam smiled, eyes full of tears. Then that's enough. She hugged him. Strong, steady, real. The forest had begun to breathe again. The trees, once stiff from fear and threat, now swayed in the wind as if they had never known war. But Liam knew, nothing here was as it was. Elia sat on a stone, staring at her hand. It's still blue, she said, but not the same as before. Neither are you. She turned to him. After everything you saw, everything you felt, who are you now? Liam thought for a long time. I'm someone who learned that sometimes fighting means not shooting, that saving someone could just mean staying. She smiled, but her eyes carried a quiet sorrow. I lost everything that was built into me. All that's left is what I chose to be. That's all that matters. She picked up a fallen leaf from the ground. What if the world finds us again? Eclipse lost. The network tracking you was erased when the monolith fell. You're invisible now. And you. I'm a dead man to the system, but alive to myself. She stepped closer. Does that scare you? It does. But now I have someone to share that fear with. They spent the day rebuilding a makeshift cabin between the trees. They used wood from fallen trees, reinforced it with strong roots, and powered a small solar generator Liam had hidden years ago. It's temporary, he said, but everything is. She nodded. That night, they ate together, spoke little. The silence was good. Their bond had matured. There were no doubts between them anymore. Only the comfort of two people who had survived the worst and still chose to stay. Elia pointed at the stars. Before, each one of them was a threat. Now they're just lights. What changed? Me. She leaned her head on his shoulder. When you found me, I was a discarded memory, a body with auction value. And now I'm what you saw when no one else saw anything. You were always that. She looked at him, but no one ever said it out loud before. Liam smiled. Then I'll keep saying it until you believe it. Later, she lay beside him on the thermal blanket. The trees above sheltered them like a living roof. You think we'll be found? Maybe. And if we are, then we run again. Fight again. But together. She closed her eyes. So this is peace. No, this is what comes before the next fight. But it's enough for now. And they slept, not like fugitives, but like people who had built a place, even while the world still tried to erase them. The cabin now smelled of fresh wood and damp soil. A clothesline stretched between two trees, a carefully tended fire, and two bodies no longer running, but surviving with purpose. Liam wrote in a small notebook by hand. Ink and paper, old things. Things Eclipse couldn't track. Elia came closer, curious. What are you writing? A version of the truth. For who? Maybe no one. Maybe just me. He closed the notebook. Or for whoever finds this forest one day and wants to know what happened to a man and an alien who were never supposed to meet. She sat next to him. Then write this. That for a while, the world tried to erase us, but we lit a fire. He smiled, and it's still burning. There, in the heart of the forest, among scars and roots, a truth was born no Eclipse report would ever capture. Love that survives fear isn't made of perfection. It's made of choice. Liam wasn't a hero. Elia wasn't an exiled princess. They were two improbable souls in the same space, pushed by the machinery of a cold universe. But there, beneath ancient trees, they made a pause. And that pause was enough to change everything. She looked at him. Are you still afraid? Every day. Are you gonna run? He shook his head. No. Now I run with you. She grabbed him by the collar, rested her forehead against his. Then write this down too, that even with the universe against us, we said yes. And around them, the forest, full of past, memory, and pain, answered with silence. But it was the kind of silence that holds respect, as if even the earth knew. They're no longer strangers. 6 months later, autumn and Olympic, the forest had changed colors. Leaves now danced in shades of copper, amber, and dry blood. The lake had sunk lower. The cold came earlier, but the cabin still stood, and it was no longer a shelter for fugitives. Now it was home. Liam always woke early, before the sun, the firewood already stacked, water boiling in a rough kettle. He read, wrote, watched, but not with paranoia, just presence. Alia tended a small clearing of modified plants, seeds she had adapted using fragments of her altered genetics. At dusk, the flowers glowed faintly, as if whispering ancient secrets to the earth. They didn't speak much about what had happened, but sometimes at night, she'd rest her head on his chest and ask, if everything ended tomorrow, would it have been worth it? And he always answered the same way. It was worth it the first day you looked at me, not as an enemy, but as a maybe. The world outside went on, spinning its cycle of control, war, and forgetfulness. But there, in a spot barely visible on any map, two lives found each other, and said enough. They didn't ask the universe for anything, just a patch of forest, where they could love without anyone saying otherwise. And the universe, whether by miracle or momentary distraction, allowed it. If you made it this far, if you felt every word, rooted for this love, cried with its fall, and burned with its survival, subscribe. Tell us what you'd do in Liam's place. Would you risk everything for someone the world already threw away? And share this story with someone who still believes the impossible is worth it. Because sometimes, all a love really needs is for someone to see what no one else ever did.